but there's just so much information, it feels overwhelming.
Absolutely. It can be like trying to drink from a fire hose sometimes.
Exactly. Well, that's why we're here today. We're going to take an enlightening deep dive into the profound wisdom of Shrii Shrii Anandamurti, or Baba, as his loving disciples call him.
And it's a chance to explore a vision that's just remarkably holistic. It weaves together spirituality, social ideas, economics, even science in a really unique way. His perspective is quite ambitious, really, aiming to connect our own spiritual journey with, well, the progress and health of the whole world.
Right. So our mission, if you like, for this dive is to pull out the key insights from all this knowledge. We want to focus especially on his progressive, forward-thinking, and fundamentally optimistic view.
Yeah, that optimism is key.
And understand that call for universal welfare, which is so central to the Ananda Marga mission. It feels very hopeful, you know?
And the scope is just immense. His teachings touch on everything, from the very personal path of spiritual growth right up to societal structures, even scientific paradigms. It's vast.
People have really seen him as a kind of beacon of spiritual and social renaissance, haven't they? Appearing when things are in flux, offering new ways forward.
That's a good way to put it, like Gautam Buddha tackling the dogmatism of his time, or Jesus Christ offering comfort during persecution in the West.
Right. It seems like history throws up these huge challenges, and certain individuals just get it. They understand the core issues and help usher in something new.
Exactly. So shall we start unpacking his worldview, this holistic approach?
Let's do it. Where do we begin?
Well, one really insightful starting point is how Shrii Shrii Anandamurti sees the material world. It's not an illusion, not just a distraction.
Wow.
No. He views it as the actual foundation for our spiritual growth. So there's this vital link, you see. Individual progress and societal progress, they're intertwined. They support each other.
Ah, that's interesting. Because some traditions really separate the spiritual from the everyday, don't they? Put them in different boxes.
Precisely. But he doesn't do that. And he really engages with the big problems of our time, things like government corruption, economic injustice, overpopulation.
Difficult issues.
Very. But he offers practical solutions. And crucially, they're rooted in expanding human consciousness. It's a very optimistic way to tackle these big problems, actually.
So it's not just about getting more stuff, more material wealth.
Well, no, not at all. The real goal, the purpose he talks about, isn't chasing endless wealth. It's about unfolding our consciousness through education, through specific mental techniques. That shift in focus is really the core of it for a better future.
Because if we shift our focus, what happens then? What changes?
Well, when we look inward, we start to see that chasing wealth and all the problems that come with it, like corruption and scarcity. It's kind of a misguided attempt, really. It's trying to satisfy the soul's deep need for infinite happiness.
Which material things can't actually provide.
Exactly. That longing can only truly be met by inner bliss, by that spiritual connection he points towards.
That makes a lot of sense. So as we focus more on, say, art or spiritual practice, that grip of selfishness, of greed, starts to loosen.
It does. It gets replaced by this growing feeling of universal love, of being connected. As we expand our awareness towards the infinite, as he puts it, and learn to share what we have, our talents, we see our shared humanity more clearly.
They're all part of something bigger.
Yes. Expressions of one grand connected intelligence guiding us towards perfection. So society, in this inspiring vision, moves away from just competition and fighting towards cooperation, towards love, fundamentally.
That's a powerful vision.
And this leads beautifully into the idea of the Sadvipra leadership.
Okay, tell me about that. What exactly is a Sadvipra?
A Sadvipra, in his teachings, means a true spiritual leader. But what makes them special is their dedication to guiding society without any personal gain involved.
No self-interest.
None. These are spiritually developed people. They've achieved a high level of inner realization through regular meditation and living by strong ethical principles, yama and niyama, as he redefined them.
So they aren't motivated by power or money.
Not at all. Their goal, cultivated through their spiritual practice, is realizing the supreme consciousness, not temporary things like possessions or fame. This lack of self-interest makes them resistant to corruption, you see. They're genuinely dedicated to everyone's well-being.
And their role in society, how do they help things progress?
They take on positions of influence, yes, but not for their own ego. It's to guide with wisdom, with compassion. Because of their spiritual depth and strong morals, they become catalysts for positive change. They help speed up our collective journey towards, well, both spiritual and material fulfillment.
guiding society towards a better future.
Exactly. Which brings us naturally to think about, well, all those intellectual contributions mentioned in the text, this profusion of new paradigms.
Oh, yes. This part is really amazing. The sheer number of original ideas Shrii Shrii Anandamurti put forward across so many different subjects. It's quite staggering.
It truly is. A real testament to the depth of his intellect, his divine insight. Let's maybe look at a few examples.
Please.
Okay, so in sociology, he talked about class based on sociopsychology, our collective mindset, basically, not just economics. It gives a deeper view of social divisions than purely material models,
That is a different angle. And history, how did he see that?
He saw history as partly shaped by a cycle of different class mentalities dominating society. But, and this is key to his optimism, he also showed practical ways to move this cycle forward progressively, to try and lessen the recurring problems of oppression and injustice.
So not just accepting the cycle, but improving it, more hopeful.
Definitely more actionable than in the sciences. Chemistry, for example.
What did he say about chemistry?
He suggested chemical formulas should include more than just molecules. They should note the content of what he called free microvita.
Microvita, what are they?
Imagine incredibly subtle, lifelike entities, sort of bridging the gap between the physical world and consciousness itself. He even suggested these microvita influence how chemical reactions happen.
Wow, that sounds completely new, groundbreaking.
It really is. And in biology, he acknowledged modern evolutionary research, of course, but he proposed evolution isn't just random mutation. He suggested that a kind of collective micropsychic longing within a species helps guide its evolutionary path.
A sense of purpose in evolution. Interesting.
That's one way to think about it, yes.
Yeah.
Then, moving to philosophy, he expanded it by introducing two new sciences of the mind. Manovigian, that's roughly biopsychology and intuitional science, focusing on developing our innate wisdom.
Expanding philosophy itself, that's significant.
Very progressive. In linguistics, he connected how we speak verbal expression to our lower energy centers, our chakras. And he linked changes in word origins, etymology, to shifts in our physical bodies and our collective psychology.
Amazing. Connecting language to our inner state and even our physical being. What about economics? That's such a critical area.
Absolutely. In economics, he pushed for integrating psychoeconomy and people's economy as vital branches. He developed PROUT, that's progressive utilization theory.
PROUT, Ray.
Yes, as a forward-thinking system for decentralized economic planning. He offered a new take on why economic depressions happen and proposed the idea of economic democracy, empowering people.
PROUT, progressive utilization theory. That sounds like a really different kind of economic model.
It is fundamentally transformative.
Yeah.
Then in cognitive science, he explored how these microvita affect the mind. He suggested developed minds can use positive microvita to spread good ideas, while negative microvita might contribute to harmful trends.
So our thoughts themselves could be influenced on this subtle level. That's profound.
That's the implication, yes. In the humanities, he drew a really important line between genuine culture and what he called pseudoculture. He showed how pseudoculture can be used to keep things unequal, to maintain economic exploitation or social oppression.
A powerful tool for control, then.
It can be. In psychology, he identified the endocrine glands, our glandular system, as the key link, the psychophysical mechanism through which the mind expresses itself mentally and emotionally. This led to his science of biopsychology. It suggests we can actively shape our personalities in positive ways.
Taking charge of our own psychological growth.
Exactly, proactive. And in ethics, his framework went beyond the usual split between rigid rules and anything-goes situational ethics. He said the real purpose of morality is to build mental strength, inner balance, the stamina needed for deep spiritual practice. And he redefined yama and niyama as universal moral principles, cardinal human values for everyone.
So ethics isn't just about rules, it's about inner strength for growth. That's powerful.
It really reframes it. Then, thinking about how we live together human settlements, his Ananda Nagar model offered practical ways to decentralize cities, bring nature into our lives, protect ecology, and make sure everyone has access to essentials, social, economic, cultural, spiritual.
A truly joined-up, forward-thinking plan for communities.
Very holistic. In religious studies, he carefully traced the history of Tantra, showing its deep, often missed influence on traditions like Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, even Zen.
Finding the common threads between these wisdom paths.
Exactly, the unifying elements. And for liberating our intellect, he gave us Neo-Humanism. This is a broad, unifying philosophy. It brings together movements for progress, anti-imperialism, rights for all living things, environmentalism, all under the banner of universal love. It connects social liberation with spiritual freedom, expanding our compassion to absolutely everything.
That sounds incredibly inclusive, a philosophy for a truly better future.
It holds that potential, yes. In music, he gave the world an incredible gift. Feel the Team Prabhat Samjita songs of the new dawn, filled with mystical feeling, devotion, using everyday language, folk melodies. It's just an unparalleled spiritual and artistic contribution.
Over 5,000 songs in a relatively short time. That's just astounding creativity.
It really is. In pharmacology, he brought together existing knowledge, but also identified new herbal and Ayurvedic remedies. And he suggested that how well a remedy works is influenced by its microvita content. It offers a way to maybe understand esoteric healing systems, potentially revolutionizing healthcare.
Bridging ancient wisdom and maybe new scientific understanding.
That's the potential connection. In education, he redefined its purpose, not just facts, but integrated development of the whole person and cultivating universalism, feeling part of all humanity. He famously said kindergarten is crucial.
Why kindergarten specifically?
Because that's where you instill the core moral values in future citizens. Trying to correct someone's negative habits later on, much, much harder. Like trying to bend mature bamboo, he said. You shape it when it's young and flexible.
That's a great analogy. The importance of that early moral foundation for society.
He really highlights it. In ecology, he introduced the deep concept of Prama. It emphasizes the absolute need for balance, harmony between cultures and their ecosystems for our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Vital for a sustainable future.
A profound respect for how interconnected everything is. Life, environment.
Exactly. And finally, in yogic science, he introduced major new meditation techniques. He recodified intuitional science. And he really stressed selfless social service alongside personal practice. That famous phrase, Atma Moksartham Jagat Hitayaka.
Meaning?
Self-realization and service to all beings. He emphasized that real spiritual growth can't happen in a vacuum. Ethics are the foundation, meditation is the method, and a life of service is the expression.
Wow. So with all these incredible wide-ranging contributions, what about recognition? How widely are his ideas known or accepted?
That's a really relevant question, isn't it? The text suggests that while many people do recognize his insights, they really deserve much wider global awareness for the benefit of everyone.
It often takes time for truly revolutionary ideas to sink in, I suppose.
It does seem to be a pattern. Think about Schopenhauer's point about truth going through 3 stages. First, ridicule, then strong opposition, and finally, acceptance as just obvious. It feels like Shrii Shrii Anandamurti's ideas are moving towards that 3rd stage, especially as more people see the need for a new, more holistic way of thinking.
It reminds me of Thomas Kuhn's work on paradigm shifts, too. How new breakthrough ideas often face resistance from the established view, even in science.
Exactly. History gives us examples like Mendel's work on genetics being ignored for decades, or Wiesner and continental drift, or Galileo supporting the sun-centered model. Even when evidence is there, established thinking can be hard to shift.
So how do these profound ideas become more widely understood? What helps that process?
Well, the work of practitioners and scholars is absolutely vital. Clearly explaining and applying his principles, analyzing them thoughtfully, presenting them accessibly, that helps bring the depth of his philosophy to a wider audience and inspire change.
Are there things happening now that might speed up this acceptance?
There are a few factors mentioned. One big one could be, frankly, the growing realization that our current social systems have serious limitations, maybe even facing collapse.
Yeah, you see the cracks appearing.
Right. As problems like deep economic inequality, environmental damage, social injustice become harder to ignore, people naturally start looking for real ethical alternatives. And that's where PROUT, the progressive utilization theory, with its focus on justice and sustainability, becomes increasingly relevant. It offers hope.
That makes sense. When the old way isn't working, you look for new solutions.
Precisely. And secondly, beyond the incredible intellect, there's his profound spiritual realization, his presence. That magnetic quality will surely keep drawing people who are genuinely seeking higher consciousness, a deeper meaning in life. History shows brilliant people are often drawn to deeply realized spiritual figures.
Like Vivekananda finding Ramakrishna, or those other examples mentioned.
Exactly. And one last point the text raises is interesting, that perhaps his humility, sometimes even deliberately downplaying his own brilliance, served a purpose.
How so?
Maybe it allowed others the space to grow into being responsible guardians of his legacy, preventing just blind hero worship. It could have allowed his teachings to be internalized more deeply and spread more organically.
An interesting thought. Allowing the ideas themselves to take root.
Yes. Now, this leads nicely into what the text calls Baba's grace, focusing on his multifaceted, deeply positive contributions.
This really brings home the sheer scale of his positive impact, doesn't it?
It really does. He brought amazing clarity to psychospiritual science, which can often seem complex. He offered clear, practical guidance for both our spiritual and intellectual development. And as we've touched on, his work touched so many different areas, all linked by his vision.
Healthcare, agriculture, psychology, economics. It's just extraordinary.
Absolutely. And his philology work, it's unparalleled. Those huge works like Varnavignana, Varnavichitra, Shabdakayanika.
Right, the language encyclopedias.
Exactly. Delving into the science of human expression, language, referencing over 90 languages. It just shows such profound, comprehensive scholarship.
That level of linguistic understanding is mind-boggling, frankly.
It is. And then there's the whole concept of microvita, those subtle living entities acting as a bridge between matter and consciousness. He explained how they influence evolution, health, the mind, laying the groundwork for a unified theory connecting the physical, mental, and spiritual.
So microvita are kind of a key concept for understanding that deep interconnectedness.
That seems to be the idea, yes.
Yeah.
And we absolutely mustn't forget his incredible contributions to art, music, spiritual culture, those Fundi 18 Prabhat Samgita songs. They aren't just tunes, they evoke deep divine longing, spiritual awakening.
Music as a spiritual path.
And the spiritual dances he gave us, Pandava for courage, Kaushiki for mental expansion, Lalita Marmika for balance and devotion.
It's such a complete offering, isn't it, for every aspect of human development.
Truly holistic. And this remarkable person who gave all this?
He was born on the full moon day, May 21st, 1921, in Bihar, India. Revered as Shrii Shrii Anandamurti and known lovingly as Baba, beloved father by his disciples.
And apparently, from a very young age, he just radiated compassion, wisdom, spiritual depth. People were naturally drawn to him. He saw what humanity needed in this modern age and revitalized the ancient science of Tantra Yoga.
Adapting it for today's world, for the future.
Exactly, making that profound wisdom accessible and relevant. He developed this comprehensive spiritual philosophy, blending reason and mystical insight. He offered a scientific, systematic way for people to go beyond their limits, to realize their divine potential.
Through practical disciplines.
Yes, a balanced approach, physical, mental, spiritual transformation, leading to deep inner growth. And his followers, in reverence, saw him as Shrii Shrii Anandamurti, literally the embodiment of bliss.
And the impact he's had. It continues today, doesn't it?
Millions, apparently, have found profound inner change through his guidance, overcoming challenges, negative habits, finding lasting peace and joy. And inspired by his selfless example, his followers dedicate themselves to service, especially helping those in need through education, practical help, social reform. His life remains this incredible source of inspiration, bliss, wisdom, universal love.
And that spirit of service led directly to a global organization, right?
Yes, the Ananda Marga Universal Relief Team, AMURT.
AMURT.
Founded directly on his principle. Service to humanity is service to God. It's a global network of incredibly dedicated volunteers focused on humanitarian aid and disaster relief.
It started in India, didn't it? Responding to natural disasters there.
That's right. Small local efforts initially, responding to droughts, earthquakes. But it grew quickly into a really effective force across India, handling all sorts of emergencies with compassion and efficiency. Then its mission spread beyond India. Decentralized chapters were set up in many countries to provide help wherever it was needed most.
And their work covers a lot of ground, natural disasters, conflict zones.
Oh, absolutely. AMURT has been vital in helping rebuild communities hit by disasters, by war, displacement all over the world. But it's not just immediate relief. They also run crucial long-term development projects, vocational training in developing countries, empowering people for sustainable futures, building resilience.
And they've even been recognized by the UN.
Yes, AMURT is officially accredited by the UN as a respected NGO focused on service. That's a real testament to their integrity, their discipline, and their deep commitment to serving humanity selflessly. A shining example of compassion in action, thanks to all those dedicated volunteers.
And this idea of selfless service connects directly back to his core philosophy, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It links intrinsically with two key progressive ideas, PROUT and Neo-Humanism.
Right, PROUT and Neo-Humanism.
Ananda Marga's vision is for a unified, harmonious human society, one that goes beyond all the artificial divisions we create. At its core is understanding our innate ability, our desire even to support each other, to thrive together, to evolve towards something better. The basic idea is moving towards bliss and helping all beings on their own journey to that supreme goal.
And neo-humanism is key to making that vision real.
Definitely. Neo-humanism pushes our sense of belonging, our compassion, way beyond just humans. It extends love, respect, that feeling of interconnectedness to all beings, plants, animals, even the inanimate world. It's a truly inclusive, ethical framework for a more just and sustainable world.
And PROUT gives the practical structure for that.
Precisely. PROUT progressive utilization theory provides the forward-looking socioeconomic base for this just society. Its core principles are economic decentralization, cooperative ownership, real economic democracy, making sure everyone thrives.
So together they offer a kind of complete solution, optimistic but practical.
They really do. Neo-humanism gives the moral compass universal love, compassion guiding our actions. PROUT gives the practical roadmap, how to create a society free from exploitation, stagnation, inequality. It paves the way for a new era of collective well-being for everyone.
And education must be central to achieving all this.
Absolutely fundamental.
Right.
And that's where Ananda Marga Gurukula comes in.
Okay.
It's a global network of educational places, schools, colleges, kindergartens, all rooted in that neo-humanist philosophy. Love for all creation. It's been going for over 65 years, grown to over 1,000 institutions in more than 50 countries, nurturing the next generation with these vital principles.
The name itself, Gurukula, sounds significant.
It is, very. It's ancient Sanskrit. Gu means darkness, Ru means dispeller, and Kula means an institution or family. So Gurukula is literally an institution dedicated to dispelling the darkness of ignorance.
Guiding people towards liberation.
Both the individual and society, yes. Towards enlightenment. It's a system with deep ancient roots, focused on holistic development, physical, mental, spiritual. Ananda Marga Gurukula is like a vibrant, modern revival of that tradition. It blends Western analytical thinking with Eastern synthetic wisdom, all focused on holistic progress for humanity and the planet's well-being.
A powerful educational vision.
And Shrii Anandamurti himself made a very direct, very powerful appeal to all of us.
Your mission in life message.
Yes. He spoke so clearly about humanity being at this crucial crossroads. One path leads to a glorious new era of understanding, cooperation. The other, well, it's clinging to a worn-out, unsustainable past.
He called people spiritual warriors.
He did, calling on us to actively choose to embrace this new dawn of hope and positive change. And he assured us that the victory of justice and love would be ours if we committed to this noble cause.
He really stressed the need for a unified global society.
Absolutely. After all this time, genuine global unity is still something we're striving for, isn't it? He passionately urged everyone who sees this critical moment, who sees the injustice and division in the world, to act, to dedicate themselves completely to this incredibly noble mission.
And he was confident about the outcome.
He assured us that when the cause is just, when the goal is noble, the welfare of all, then success isn't just possible, it's guaranteed.
So he didn't just give the inspiring vision, he gave the how-to as well, the practical steps.
Exactly. Shrii Anandamurti provided both the comprehensive, progressive ideology for this new renaissance and the practical methodology, the mission to make it real. He really emphasized sticking to strong ethical discipline, yama and niyama, not just as rules, but as the essential way for individuals to connect with their inner cosmic self. Ethics as universal principles for a harmonious life.
And the mission itself, who does it include?
It's remarkably inclusive. It brings together both householders, people living regular family lives, and renunciates, monks and nuns, in spiritual practice. He recognized that anyone genuinely devoted to the supreme consciousness can reach the highest states of bliss and liberation, no matter their lifestyle.
That feels quite revolutionary, breaking down those barriers.
It was a truly groundbreaking, democratizing step, designed to envision, articulate, and actually bring about this new, progressive era of universal renaissance, embracing everyone.
And if people listening are inspired and want to learn more, where can they go?
Well, there are the extensive Ananda Marga publications.
Right, the books.
Indeed. Between 1955 and 1990, Shrii Prabhat Ranjan Sarkar, who was also Shrii Anandamurti, Baba authored this huge collection, 264 books in English, Bengali, Hindi, covering an incredible range: sociology, economics, spirituality, even children's stories, all infused with his wisdom and progressive vision.
And many were dictated directly from his talks.
That's right, dictated or compiled from his discourses. So yes, we definitely encourage you, the listener, to explore these amazing resources. Learn more about Ananda Marga, its practices for your own betterment, and for the world's, contributing to that brighter future for all.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, what really stands out from exploring Shrii Anandamurti's teachings is this incredibly comprehensive, really progressive vision for all of us. It just seamlessly weaves together deep spiritual growth with the absolute necessity for positive social change through Neo-Humanism, through PROUT. It offers these insightful perspectives across so many areas of knowledge, and it's all aimed at the welfare, the upliftment of absolutely everyone, everywhere.
And his teachings have this inherently optimistic feel, don't they? Forward-looking, full of positive energy, presenting a clear, doable path towards a world that's more just, more harmonious, more unified, driven by expanded consciousness, by universal love, by that commitment to everyone's well-being.
Okay, so as we finish up, maybe something for you, our listener, to reflect on. How could really integrating these deep spiritual values, this genuine focus on collective well-being, how could that fundamentally reshape our society, our own lives, building on this incredible foundation Shrii Anandamurti has given us?
It's a powerful question to ponder.
Definitely. We really encourage you to explore these ideas further and look into the global Ananda Marga mission, working for the welfare and happiness of all.